And look who we have here right now to go ahead and talk about Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's none other than my good friend. He is the man behind Honey Queen and the Honey Outcast. You got to go ahead and check him out today on Facebook at the Honey Outcast, and of course Honey Queen as well. It is my good friend indeed. It is Noah Ian Fein. And Noah, you and I have already talked at length about the Yakuza series. We've talked at length about it, on and on and on. Your love for it, you actually a recent love that you just made of it. And I'll tell you what, I told you when you got your hands finally on the North American version, at least one of them, of Yakuza Like a Dragon, you would have some time to talk about it. I'm cramming this episode with nothing but video game talk almost. So almost all of it's video game talk. So I'll tell you what, the floor is yours right now. What are your thoughts on Yakuza Like a Dragon?
Well, again, thank you for having me on. And second of all, this game lives up to the hype. It's a very nice passing of the torch. It's not a reboot. It's not a remaster. It's not a requel. It's another sequel to the Yakuza series. But again, back in 2015-16, after the 10th anniversary of the Yakuza series from PlayStation 2 onward, Sega decided to retire its previous protagonist, Kiryu, and they have a new character, Ichiban, and he seems to be a lot more relatable because he's a guy in his 40s who enjoyed playing Dragon Quest, and his dream really was to be an actual hero. The story I'm sure you've heard a lot because this game did come back in discussions in June, even though the game was released in Japan in January, and we got wind of it in June to September, and there seems to be rumblings about the whole combat system. Story is very simple. You have Ichiban, who was asked by his boss to take the fall for a murder charge because the captain of the Arcana family murdered someone from a rival family, and they were afraid that if the captain went to prison, the Arcana family would be banished from the Yakuza. So Ichi goes in, he comes out 18 years later, and it turns out that the Tojo clan, that if you've played the series of games, was a huge deal because Kiro was the fourth chairman. The Tojo clan is finally no more. Their rivals, the Omi Alliance, reign supreme in Japan, and Ichiban has been betrayed and shot by his boss. That in the American version, and the English dubbing is voiced by George Takei. Oh my! And Ichi is now left for dead in Yokohama, and he's befriended by a homeless person as well as a ex-detective that was 1 year away from retirement, as well as a hostess that her twin sister was trying to help her father, was also betrayed by the Yakuza. And during the 45, 50 hours of main storyline, you're going to find out why Ichiban was betrayed, why the Tojo clan is no more, as well as taking down both the Chinese and Korean mafia, as far as I know. I mean, when you got a demo for this game, because again, I got a Japanese account and I got the demo, you had Chapter 4. And that was 10 hours in itself, because as any Yakuza gamer knows, there's the main story and there's a lot of sub-stories, and that could take up a lot of time. But the combat is turn-based RPG for the first time, mainly because the developers wanted to try something different, and I think they felt that since Dragon Quest III, and Dragon Quest was bigger in Japan before it came here, a lot of JRPGs happened. Persona, Final Fantasy, and Dragon Quest, although here I think it was Dragon Warrior before it finally became Dragon Quest. This new combat system, I have to be honest with you, is a lot easier to use, because when I use the action combat for Kiryu, it was a lot of button mashing, but the problem also was on how to have your character face your opponent, because if you overpowered your character, because it was an action RPG, you still got experience points, still leveled up your character, but your opponents could be a little bit more powerful than you, and they spend a lot of time blocking. So it was very hard to keep punching and kicking before you can break their block, or they had an open area that you can punch and kick them, and it got a little frustrating. The turn based RPG gives you more of a chance to breathe and get a better strategy on how to fight your characters. There's still punching and kicking, but it's turn based RPG rules. What's great about this, though, it's not four guys on one side and four guys on the other side. It's a 3D turn based RPG. You could have your opponent on the lower left hand side, and you can have members on your team on the upper right hand side. It's all about highlighting which character and what attack or special attack you want to perform. And if you try to attack a character in the lower left that's injured, but you have somebody who can move automatically on the upper right, if you try to cut through, the opponent will knock you down. Or if an opponent is in front of an inanimate object, you can run up and still do the attack, but you also automatically pick up that object, hit the person, and continue to do whatever attack you decided to do. Also, if you fight in the street, cars could come by, and I've attacked a few people. They've gone from the sidewalk onto the street. A car will come by, run them over, and take away 100 hit points and basically kill them. The other thing that's interesting are these special attacks because, again, Ichiban, like Dragon Quest, and when he's fighting, in his mind, it's Dragon Quest. For everybody else in the party, they just feel they're actually fighting. So you could get your regular attacks, which are punching and kicking, but the special attacks could be anything from using a weapon and performing a swing attack, which is knocking people all around, or you have Namba, who's a homeless person. When he has his hoodie up, he's a wizard. So he'll throw birdseed at an opponent, and pigeons will come by and peck them and take away hit points. Or he'll take a swig of alcohol, spit it, and use a lighter, and that'll be his fireball attack. You'll have Achiban, which is the cop. He's the muscle. And you'll have Sayoko, who is your female character that starts off just using her purse to hit people. But if you time the attacks correctly, because you'll get a chance to press the triangle at a certain moment, or the square button, or the circle button, or the X button, and this will help increase your attacks where you can stun your enemies, poison them, or create more damage. The items, like any Yakuza game, are very much cut and dry. You get food, it replaces your hit points or your magic points, which is your special attacks. And they are the energy drinks, or they're a sushi kit, which is like 2,000. And that's the other thing, too, the social commentary in this game. Your currency is yen because you're in Japan. And I know that 2,000 yen in Japan is $200 here, but in the previous games, obtaining yen was a little easier. Here, you really have to work for getting yen. The thing about these Yakuza games as well is there are a bunch of everything. There are action RPG, or in this case, a turn-based RPG. But they also have mini games. You can play golf. You can go to a batting cage. You can play a billiards game. You can do darts. You can go into the Club Sega arcade game and play classic Sega games like Outrun, Phantasy Star, or the Virtual Fighter series. And if you gain enough points, you can actually gain currency. You could go to an underground casino and play blackjack or mahjong, or you can even perform good deeds. And there's something called Rent a Hero, where this guy has a Gundam helmet on him, and he gives you this app, and you put it on your cell phone. And what you do is, if you see somebody in distress and you answer the call, you can get 5,000 yen. The whole idea as well is that it's not just about the main story. It helps break up the monotony. And the story with the bonding of the characters, with the English dub, and this is the first time we've got an English dub for a Yakuza game since the first one back in 2005. And people complained about this. Some like the subtitles, some don't. I did not mind the English subtitles, and I understand it was very expensive to do the translation or to even bring in English dubbing, and that's why, we at least got the subtitles. But I guess Sega decided to go all out thanks to the sales for Yakuza 0 that came out between 2015 and 2016, as well as its sequel, Yakuza 6. So we got an English dub track, and I have to say, it's not a bad dub track. It's usually I have a problem with the English dubbing with Asian films or TV shows, but this one it's not that bad. It's really sarcastic dialogue between the grizzled ex-cop and Ichiban, as well as the homeless person Namba. They all have really great backstories. The more you also bond with your characters, you also get something called the bond meter, which means that if you'll have about 6 people in your party towards the end of the game, but only 4 can play at a time. So if you switch in and out and bond, those characters will gain experience points while they're not battling. And
All right, my friend. That sounds like an awesome game. There's just so
yes,
much to
yes,
talk about. You can go
yes,
on and on
yes,
and on and on. I know. You're so excited about it. So really, let's wrap this up.
yes. Okay, so the bottom line is right now there's 15 chapters. I'm working
Okay.
on 5.
Okay.
So this game is, again, the main story is about 45 to 50 hours.
Okay.
And I'm down to God knows how many. The bottom line is this game will take up a lot of your time. It's known for its cutscenes, but once again, you could pause them and take a bathroom break. But it's definitely, all in all, this is a 9.5 out of 10. There's some downloadable content. There's a lot of content in this game with the mini games, the main story, the sub stories, which I didn't really get to go into. But there's always something to do that this is definitely going to be worth your $59 or 9,500 yen, which it was in Japan. I know this gotten some mixed reviews and complaints about the English dubbing and the turn-based RPG. Trust me, it's all worth it. Definitely, this is probably going to make Game of the Year at least, or at least PlayStation's greatest hits.
Yakuza Like a Dragon. It is out now on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. You do have to go ahead and wait for the PlayStation 5 version. That's coming out in a time release in 2021, but all the others are right now available. You heard the glowing review from Noe and Fein from Honey Queen and the Honey Outcast. Please check out his awesome Facebook pages today, Honey Queen and the Honey Outcast. And it looks like that you've had a great time with Yakuza Like a Dragon, and I cannot thank you enough for taking the time, for stopping by to talk Yakuza one more time. And I look forward to bringing you back again real soon right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos.